The woman you see in this picture has done something to manage to piss off a lot of PC individuals. So in case y'all don't know who this woman is, her name is Michelle Wu, and she is the current mayor of Boston. And she did something that had them pissed off, or at least seemingly did something that has them pissed off. So basically what's going on, there was a holiday party. You know, like a lot of businesses or a lot of jobs have holiday parties and holiday events for their employees. That's very typical. But apparently an email went out about who was invited and who was not invited to this particular party. So I'm gonna have the screenshot of the email up in here, and then I'm gonna read the article so you can get some more context behind it. So it says the Democratic mayor of Boston has sparked outrage after inviting city councilors to a holiday party intended for electeds of color. Michelle Wu's invitation for the December Electeds of Color holiday party appeared to have been sent out to all councilors in error by her aide Denise Dos Santos. And if you see, her picture is in the email right there in the corner, or right there on the side. Dos Santos followed up the email 15 minutes later, apologizing for the invite, clarifying that it only meant for the city's 6 councilors of color. The 7 white council members were not welcome. I wanted to apologize for my previous email regarding a holiday party for tomorrow, Dos Santos, a black woman, wrote. I did send that to everyone by accident, and I apologize if my email may have offended or came across as so. Sorry for any confusion this may have caused. There was no apology for actually planning to host a racially segregated party. Wu was slammed by outgoing city councilor Frank Baker, who told the Boston Herald that it was unfortunate and divisive. The move quickly divided Boston City Council, with some saying they were not offended by the party while others questioned Wu's judgment. Wu was elected mayor of Boston in November 2021, becoming the city's first female and first Asian American mayor. Michael McCormick, an attorney and former 5-term Boston City Councilor, said Wu's hosting an exclusive party is not typical of her office, and argued former mayors Tom Menino and Ray Flynn would have invited the entire chamber. The problem is that Boston and race unfortunately are synonymous, McCormick said. Now the irony of that is I just wrapped up talking about the Murder in Boston, you know, the 3-part documentary series that was on Max, or HBO Max. So and then also most people in and outside of Boston know about the racial history with Boston. So yeah, there's that. I'm just hoping it was a mistake. It's not something that anyone in the mayor's office should be proud of. However, Wu's spokesman Ricardo Patron said on Wednesday that the mayor was asked to host the annual party by the Electeds of Color group, and the host and locations changes each year. He said the party was just one of a number that were happening over the festive season, and Wu was planning a larger holiday party next week for all her cabinet members, city councilors, and entire legislature. Baker said he didn't see the additional exclusive party as a good move given heightened tensions in the city council, but said he was not personally offended. I find it unfortunate that with the temperature the way it is that we would further that division, he said, adding, I don't really get offended too easily. To offend me, you're going to have to do much more than not invite me to a party. Others defended the move, with Black City Councilor Brian Worrell saying the holiday party was an example of Boston's government reflecting all kinds of specific groups. We make space and spaces for all kinds of specific groups in the city and city government, Worrell told the Boston Herald. This is no different, and the elected officials of color has been around for more than a decade. Worrell also reportedly said Dos Santos has a good working relationship with the city council, and he didn't take offense to the way the incident unfolded. As she said in her follow-up email, she meant no ill will, he said. Councilor Tania Fernandez Anderson, in an email to Dos Santos and Wu's team, said the email invite should not offend anyone and there is absolutely no confusion. Feeling there was no need for apologies at all, Fernandez Anderson said. Just like there are groups that meet based on shared interests or cultural backgrounds, it's completely natural for elected officials of color to gather for a holiday celebration. She continued, many groups celebrate and come together in various ways, and it's not about excluding anyone. Instead, it's about creating spaces for like-minded individuals to connect and support each other. So that's the entire article right there, and y'all got a chance to see the image of the email. One thing I also peeped about the email I didn't pick up until after I was done reading the article is if you look down at the bottom where her name is at, it says Denise Dos Santos and it says she, hers, she, her, hers. I already know PC was probably pissed about that too, because you know they be really irate when it comes to those pronouns. They really be feeling some type of way about that. And I noticed that they label Denise Dos Santos as a black woman, but with that last name, we know for a fact she's definitely not FBA with that last name. So it's something else going in there, because if you are a black American, Dos Santos is definitely not your last name. Trust me on that one. But PC was very irate and very upset about that. But Michelle had to come out and basically give her statement about it. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that right here.
I think we've had individual conversations with everyone, so people understand that it was truly just an honest mistake that went out in typing the email field, and I look forward to celebrating with everyone at the holiday parties that we will have besides this one as well. So it is my intention that we can again be a city that lives our values and create space for all kinds of communities to come together.
So she made that statement right there, but of course PC wasn't accepting it. And it leads me to this post right here on X or Twitter from this individual whose name is Ali London TV. Now this was tagged to me on Twitter, and this is how I found out about this whole situation. They said, woke woo. I already knew when they put woke right there, I already knew where this was headed. Boston's Democrat Mayor Michelle Wu defends banning white council members from attending city council Christmas party. Mayor Wu held a holiday party for quote-unquote elected of color last night with the party invitation email sent to council members saying no whites would be allowed. Scandal erupted after the party invite was accidentally sent to several white council members, with the mayor later saying it was an honest mistake to invite white people. She refused to accept that segregating people based on color was divisive by saying, "There are multiple ways that we celebrate with everyone. There are several parties where all the entire city council and all of our elected colleagues have been invited to." The Democrat mayor has said the council planned to hold another holiday party for people of all racial backgrounds. Mayor Wu, whose husband is white, is Boston's first Asian American mayor, and they pulled that from the Daily Mail. So yeah, that's that post right there. And when I tell you PC lost their damn minds, I mean they used all types of buzzwords that you could possibly think of. And before I go into that, this is a picture of Michelle Wu and her husband. I forgot what her husband's name is, but I do know based on that last name that he has, he's one of them folks, because his last name has 3 letters in there, SKI. You know what I talk about with them skis. So yeah, he's definitely one of them. So a lot of them started to pull and start saying, like what this Ali London person did, oh, I guess she's not going to invite her husband because her husband is a PC man. Well, they didn't say that, but I guess her husband's not going to be invited and all types of stuff like that. I mean, you should have seen some of the responses, just some, because it was a bunch of them about what was put under there. And someone in there, of course, again invoked Dr. King's name, to try to bastardize it. When someone mentioned about them bastardizing it, and then they wanted to try to play dumb. It was another one I saw in there trying to basically say that, oh, if the roles were reversed and they did this the other way around, then it would have been seen as this, that, and the third. Or, oh, someone even went as far as to try to claim that PC has never done anything like this before. I'm like, so we're going to just pretend that Jim Crow wasn't a thing when there was white water fountains, or what they call colored water fountains, where white people got to sit in the front of the bus and black people had to sit in the back of the bus, or when in the movie theater when white people was able to sit in the front and at the bottom and black people had to go and sit at the balcony and literally had 2 different entrances and a host of other things. And that went on for years. Or we can just go all the way back to chattel slavery, where black people were literally owned by PC for 400 plus years as property and free labor, and then got the nerve to say that they built America. I didn't know sitting on your ass for 400 plus years built a damn thing, but okay, fine, whatever. In your head, I guess that's how all of this really plays out. But I think what makes this even more hilarious is that This is coming from this is literally PC versus Asian right now. This whole situation. These are some of the same people, like, you know, PC propped them up, you know, as this model minority group and all this type of stuff right here, only for them to feel like they got betrayed by the same person. Now, the interesting thing is, again, she became the mayor of Boston. She's the first Asian American person, male or female, to get that position, and she's the first female. She's married to a PC man who's one of them folks based on that last name. So they're very upset about that. They feel kind of betrayed. This has been a very interesting year when it comes to the conflict with PC and the Asian American community, especially going back to what happened with the whole thing of affirmative action being overturned. Then you got the likes of Charlie Kirk keep trying to say, oh, they're trying to oppress white people and Asian people, because he kept pushing that a lot. I wonder what Charlie Kirk has to say about this. But again, he'll probably just say, oh, she's woke, she's a leftist, and all you type of stuff like that. Asian women on the right wouldn't dare do stuff like this. But you know, they always got to insert that in there somewhere somehow. That's why I don't like going too deep into the politics things, because I always say this: no matter what side of the spectrum you are on, if your mind is made up about something, you're going to do that, no matter what political leanings you may have at the end of the day. Because what do I always tell you? Left wing, right wing, liberal, conservative, Democrat, Republican, two wings attached to the what? Same damn buzzard. And if they want to go out of their way to oppress anybody, especially when it comes to us, because both sides have definitely contributed into that notion, into that scenario, they will do it. Now, notice they didn't take it to, oh, this wasn't a mistake, or, you know, oh, she meant to do it, and all types of stuff like that. Now, it's crazy because they came down more harder on Michelle Wu, the mayor, than they did on the person who actually sent the email out. So, and again, this is not slept on me that this happened in Boston. You know, Boston has a very interesting, sordid history, a very anti-black one at that. So when it comes to this situation, I could give a damn about their tears. As far as I'm concerned, this is a fight amongst them. For me, I have no involvement in it. I just thought it was interesting to talk about because some of the responses were just absolutely ridiculous. It's just amazing of some of the stuff that they say and type online whenever they quote unquote feel offended. So for me, this was just pure entertainment, just watching them just kind of sling mud at each other. This is kind of like reminding me of the meme of Michael Jackson in the Thriller video, or the Thriller short film, eating the popcorn and smiling at the screen. That's the moment I feel like I'm having right now as I'm talking about this story. And I think another thing that might piss them off even more is when I was reading the article is that some of her PC constituents were saying how, you know, I'm not really offended by this. I wish I would get mad because I didn't get invited to a party. So even with those statements right there, it's going to piss off even more PC people, because like, how dare you not get upset at this Asian woman, a person that you helped put into office or whatever the case may be, for not inviting you to a party that you had every right to be there because of your skin tone. And they're mad. They're most likely going to be upset about that too. Like I said, for me, this was pure entertainment at the end of the day for me. So here I am thinking I'm at the end of the commentary when Charlie Kirk just had to insert something in here. Now, this is hours after I thought I was done with this, but I had to put this in here. So Charlie Kirk put up this tweet in reference to what was posted about what Michelle Wu did, well, her cabinet did in that email. He said, white people welcomed Michelle Wu's parents into America. They let her attend Harvard University and Harvard Law School, and they elected her mayor of Boston. Wu returns the favor by holding segregated Christmas parties where inferior whites are not allowed. What a disgusting person. Now, that is just screaming nothing but fragility overload right there. But let's break down what he said, because it's so easily to break down. He said white people welcome Michelle Wu's parents into America. So he's just basically saying that he's throwing out that this man knows of his privilege. He knows he's a dub S. He won't come outright and say it, but he uses all of the buzzwords. He's basically saying, if it wasn't for white people such as my ancestors allowing you to come here, then you wouldn't have anything. So this is him telling Michelle, or trying to put Michelle Wu in her place. In his eyes, that's what he's trying to say. He then goes on to say they let her, and by they he means white people, attend Harvard University and Harvard Law School, and they elected her mayor of Boston. I first off, that would imply that, you know, she got in only because PC put in a good word for her, or to her getting into law school. He's basically saying, you know, Harvard is the reason why she got in and all this, that, and the third, and what, so on and so forth. She didn't get in on her own merit. Now, keep in mind, I did a video talking about that Z list, and what that Z list entails over at Harvard is that it allowed in a lot of people in under legacy admissions, and we know the majority of legacy admissions happen to be PC, which would be people like Charlie Kirk, but then again, not like Charlie Kirk, because remember, Charlie Kirk went to a junior community college and he dropped out. Now you know, you gotta be a buffoon to go to a 2-year college and you couldn't even complete 2 years. But he's upset about this and claiming it was white people that got Michelle Wu into Harvard and Harvard Law School, and she should be more grateful for that. Then he goes on to say that they elected her mayor of Boston, as if no other person who is non-white voted for her. Remember, this is an Asian woman right there. Now, I don't know what the Asian population is in Boston, but I'm sure they probably voted for her too. Now, could the majority of the votes been PC? Possibly, but were they the only ones? No, I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. But he made it seem like it was only PC that got her in. He then says Wu returns the favor by holding segregated Christmas parties where inferior whites are not allowed. Remember, these are people that work with her. I highly doubt she would hire anybody to work with her who's deemed inferior. But again, this is nothing but projection coming out of Charlie Kirk. But again, what Charlie Kirk, I want y'all to understand here. What Charlie Kirk said about Michelle Wu in this post is a blanket statement that could be applied to not just someone like herself. This is what he has said in so many words about black people. He may have worded it differently, because he wouldn't dare try to put black people in Harvard in the same sentence, except to say that we got in on affirmative action or we didn't get in on a good merit. But keep in mind what happened a couple years ago with that college admission scandal that was pretty much all PC people involved, except for that one black guy who was working with the ringleader. But I don't really count him because it's not like he was cheating to get his child in. He basically was just working. He was the underling of Rick Singer. But Charlie Kirk, to my knowledge, didn't speak about that, and he won't talk about that, because then that would be to throw his own under the bus. But again, if you notice, people like Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh and so on and so forth, notice many of them either A, dropped out of school, they never finished their formal education, or B, they finished but they barely got by. And that's where people like Fakem come in. If y'all remember the Bed Buckathon that I did, he basically said in one of his videos, in one of his streams or whatever it was, that his brother was the brains and he was the jock, and he happily admitted it. And not only was he the jock, but he wasn't a good jock at that. When we pulled them stats up, them things was horrible. And it's like, wow, you could have at least tried to fall back on something, because football definitely was not it. And he basically said out of his own mouth that he was a dummy. So I think we're starting to see and notice a pattern here. But like I said, really read between the lines of what Charlie Kirk said here, because again, it doesn't only to apply to Michelle Wu what he said here. That he could have switched that around. That could have been applied to anybody else, especially us. And we know the stuff that Charlie Kirk has said about black people in the past. As a matter of fact, shout out to Afro Elite, because he did a live stream when he was talking about reparations. Is the one that he did that has Charlie Kirk in the thumbnail. Y'all should have seen the stuff that Charlie Kirk was saying. He did in that video that he was highlighting. Charlie Kirk did not hold back. He wasn't on his platform where he has to feel like he has to reserve himself somewhere. He was out in the wild. He was in the wilderness, and he let it fly. How he really felt about black people. Like, he was on the college campus when he said it, and he didn't care who was around when he said it. This is exactly just who Charlie Kirk is. I think it irks me more, not only the fact that he is a dub S, that part doesn't really bother me, because like I said, I like when they're out in the open like that, because then we know how to deal with them. It's the fact that he continues to insult mine and other people's intelligence by trying to say it's not what it is when it is exactly what it is. I think that's the part that irks me the most about people like Charlie Kirk. They try to pretend like they're coming at it from one angle, but it's like, nah, this is just who you are. This is who you always will be. And when you go to the great beyond, or the great below, or the great in between, whatever the afterlife decides to take and carry you, that's just who you're going to be, and that's who he's always going to be. The only thing is, we wasn't able to get to Charlie Kirk before he blew up, so it kind of makes it a little bit harder. But you know what? Like K Gravity said, 2024, that grift is coming to an end, and I cannot wait for the day that actually happens. But all in all, I'm actually kind of glad now that this happened, because this puts to rest, or at least it should, but I know it won't, how hypocritical people like a Charlie Kirk are, or like the person that I talked about earlier, that Ollie London person, who love to claim that we need to stop making everything about race, or we are in a post-racial society, or stop being woke, or stop doing this and stop doing that. When what did that Ollie London person, especially what did Charlie Kirk do in these posts that I just went over as it pertains to this? They made it about race. Because again, these are supposed to be the superior group. They're supposed to be above the fray, but the thing is, they can't handle it. That I'm telling you, this thing is eating them up. Because the thing is, the thing that they've been using against so many people for so long is now being thrown back on them. It's backfiring, and they cannot deal with the pushback. They cannot deal with the backlash. I said it's just amazing how long they've been in power, considering that how fragile they actually are. But I guess fragility is their superpower. I know it's weird saying that, but I think it might actually be. I think fragility is actually PC's superpower. And they've been using that superpower to maintain so-called dominance for so long. Like, it's actually gotten them by, and it's gotten them through, and it's gotten them over, and stepped over and stepped on a lot of people to do it and maintain.